I am
Sorry about
right.
that.
I was forgetting about that. I am part of the Transfer Center and one of the directors of the Transfer Center, as well as a counselor, as well as the Scholars Honors Counselor. So we're going to be talking today about transferring from the California Community Colleges to the university, as well as the option of the honors program. Now I know we have some of this, actually have a smaller group in here, which is great, which means if you have questions, feel free to ask them. You can put them in the chat, or if you want to ask them out loud, feel free to raise your hand and Clarence will help me out and make sure that we answer all of your questions in today's session. So just to kind of get started, I like to point out our motto that we have here, which is to start here and go anywhere. So you can really start here at Cerritos College. It doesn't matter what happened in high school, whether you're a really great student or an average student, you can come here to Cerritos, be an amazing student and go anywhere you want to go. So our students have gone every place. Clarence talked about going to Berkeley. We've had students who've gone to Stanford, who've gone to Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton, NYU, Cornell, Harvard. So we have students who have gone all across the country in a variety of different locations. And really it's about starting here at Cerritos and starting strong and moving your way forward to being successful and really giving yourself the option to go any place you want to go. So that is what we're going to be talking a little bit about today, just some of the pathways that you have while you're starting at Cerritos and moving forward. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I like to talk about is just your options when it comes to higher education and the structure of higher education. We are part of the California Community College system. There's about 116 of us in the state of California, which is the largest community college system in the nation. We are also less expensive, which means you're going to get a great education while you're at Cerritos and for less money. And then we can move you on to the university where you can finish off that bachelor's degree. We have two sets of public institutions. That's our Cal State universities, like Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton, Cal State Dominguez Hills, Cal Poly Pomona, San Diego State. All of those institutions are part of our California State University system. We also have a public university system of the University of California. That's like UCLA, UC Irvine, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, and many more. So you have a ton of different possibilities within the public university setting. But in addition to that, you also have the opportunity to consider the in-state private schools and the thousands of out-of-state schools that you'd like to. So you have a variety of options. I do think a lot of times students will kind of limit themselves to a particular public, institution, like let's say Cal State's, because it's less expensive and they figure that they're getting a good education for less money. And you get a great education. I went to Cal State's and I totally agree with that. But I also want you to keep in mind that even though it's more expensive to go to a UC or even the private schools, that funding is available to help you, that you shouldn't limit yourself as to where you want to go next based on what you think you can afford, because it may or may not be the case. We have many students who have gone to USC in the past, and I don't know if any of you know how much it costs to go to USC, but it's about $72,000 a year to go to USC. And our students, they do not pay that $72,000 a year. They are paying probably less than $5,000 a year. And it's because of the need. USC gives away $90 million in scholarships. And their thought is, if you get in, they do not want you to not choose them because you can't afford to go there. But you won't know whether you can afford to go there or not if you don't apply. So again, I'm bringing up all these different options. I really want you to think about, as I'm going through, not limiting yourself to a set of schools, but really leaving your options way open and considering applying anywhere, getting in anywhere. What would be your possible dream school? And that's what we want to shoot towards. And then once you get applied and admitted, then we can decide, is that going to work? Are we going to figure out a way to make that work financially? And then decide where you want to go. Okay. But don't limit yourself from the very beginning, is what I basically want to come down to. So let's start with the steps to the degrees. Okay. This is kind of where we fit in the scheme of things. So at Cerritos College, you are going to complete your freshman and sophomore level courses. So you can kind of see that in the light blue down here at the bottom. So your freshman and sophomore level courses are going to be done at Cerritos. I don't say year. And the reason why I don't say year, like freshman year and sophomore year, is because how long it takes you will depend on you. So if you're going to work full-time and go to school part-time, then it's going to take more than 2 years. If you're going to study in the sciences or engineering, it may take a little bit more than 2 years. And so it's not really about the years, it's about the levels. So we're going to complete the freshman and sophomore level at Cerritos College. Once you completed those 2 levels at Cerritos College, you can earn an associate's degree at Cerritos College. That's the highest degree that we currently offer, an associate's degree. So you can earn an associate's degree in whatever subject and then transfer on to the university. Now, it is not required that you get an associate's degree before you leave us. However, a lot of the times the classes that you're taking that will transfer to universities are the same classes that you need in order to transfer or to get, to get your AA degree. Okay. So again, the classes you need for transfer are the same types of classes you need for your AA degree. So it doesn't, why not get it on your way? But it's not required. Once you finish off your sophomore level courses, then we transfer you to the university as a junior. And so you will complete your junior and your senior level courses at the university to get your bachelor's degree. Okay. And then from your bachelor's degree, of course, you have tons of options. You can go on for, work. If you want to go directly into work, you can go on for a master's or a doctorate degree, or maybe you want to go to professional schools like medical schools or dental schools or pharmacy school or law school. We have all different possibilities. We've had students who come back to our transfer celebration in the past who've been lawyers, and we actually have one coming back this year who started at Cerritos College and is now finished up dental school and is now a full dentist. So she's going to be calling us from her dental office in order to participate in our celebration. So we're very excited about that. But again, you start here at Cerritos, you're not limited unless you put the limitations on yourself, and we're going to move you forward. But this is what we're looking for, your freshman and sophomore level here to move forward into the university. And again, you're not starting from scratch. Okay, you used to finish off those freshman, sophomore level courses. We're going to build on those in order to get to your junior and your senior level courses. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at in order to finish off your program. All right, any questions so far on what we've covered? Again, remember, if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat. If you would like to say them out loud, feel free to use the raise your hand button in the Zoom session. All right, so while you're here at Cerritos and you're taking your freshman and sophomore level courses, those courses are made up of 3 pieces, okay? They're made up of your general education, they're made up of your major, and they're made up of electives. General education is basically a little bit of everything. It's got your math, your science, your arts, your humanities, social sciences. It makes you a well-rounded individual, a little bit of everything. Then you have the area that you want to specialize in, and that's what we call your major. So if you want to specialize in psychology or sociology or anthropology or philosophy or African studies, whatever it may be, you can study for that and that would be your area of specialization or your major. And then if needed, if we need more units in order to reach the 60 that we need to get you to the university, then we bring in electives, and electives are pretty much anything else. Okay, they can be whatever classes that you want. So maybe you want to take some extra art classes, or you really love public speaking, so you want to take some extra public speaking classes. It can be anything you want to, and it would be counted as an elective. Now, not every major needs an elective. If you're going into a very large major like computer science or engineering, it is possible that you would you'd have a lot of classes in your major and just a little bit of general ed, which means you don't have a lot of space for elective classes. But if you go into major like, I don't know, Chicano studies, that one doesn't have as many major preparation courses. So in which case we have more space for electives. So really it will depend on how things work itself out, but there are always these 3 pieces. And I would like to say this is the same for whether you go directly to university as a freshman or you come to the community college as a freshman. You are still going to be taking the general education major and electives, okay? And the good question, Andrea. So basically, yes, any general classes that you take at Cerritos, any major classes that you're taking at Cerritos, these are all classes that you will not have to repeat over at the university. As part of our plan, we have 3 different options for general education. Plan A goes towards the AA degree only, so you're not transferring. Plan B goes specifically towards Cal State. So if you know you want that as an option, you can go with Plan B. And Plan C gives you Cal States, UCs, and private schools, and some out-of-state schools. So I usually recommend, because again, I want you to leave your options open, starting with Plan C. If you complete Plan C here at Cerritos College, we will certify that it is done. And if we certify that it is done, you will not have to take any general education courses at the UC system. At the Cal State system, they will require that you take 3 upper level or junior, senior level general education courses, but all your freshman, sophomore level general education courses will be complete. So you do not have to retake anything. If you've taken it at Cerritos, we certify your general education is done, that's done, and you move forward to the next piece. If you do your major preparation here at Cerritos College, I'll show you how to look that up in a minute, but if you do your major preparation at Cerritos College, then that, and you complete the classes that are specified as, comparable, then those are done. You will build on that to the next levels at the university. You will not have to retake. So when you're looking at this stuff here, when you get there to university, you're not going to have to do another 4 years at the university. If you're full-time, you will probably have about 2 years, maybe 2.5, depending on what your major is, at the university. So you are literally completing the first half of your degree at Cerritos, and will take the second half of your degree once you get to university to finish off your bachelor's degree. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you for asking the question, Andrew. Okay, so again, if you have questions, put them into the chat. I'd love to answer questions for you guys. I want to make sure that you truly understand what I'm putting out there for you, because again, I want you to have those options and opportunities. So let's keep moving through here. Now, this page here is going to talk about major preparation. We have a lot of different options, okay? So I talked about plan A, B, and C for the purposes of your general, okay? More so plan B and plan C for transfer. When it comes to your major specific classes, they have a variety of things that you can look at. We do have transfer degrees, which is down here. And those transfer degrees help streamline your admissions into a Cal State university. So that's what they sometimes have called a degree with a guarantee. If you complete a transfer degree, then you are guaranteed into the CSU system, okay? Not to a specific school, but into the system itself, okay? The UC pathways, let's say you're not sure where you want to go, but you want to consider a UC campus, and you have a specific major in mind, let's say biology, then the UC pathways shows you all the classes that you can take that will be ready and prepare you for all the UC campuses, okay? And then they have an amazing website called assist.org, which Clarence has put the link in there for you in the chat. Assist.org, if we have a little bit of time at the end, I'll show you how it works. But basically what you'll be able to do is put Cerritos in there, put in your other public universities, whether it's Cal States or UCs, put in your major, and it will give you a list of classes that you need or can take at Cerritos and how they transfer to the university. So that's an amazing website. You do not have to have a licensing. It's free. You can use it whenever you want to, and I will show it to you towards the end of today's session. But just know that this is a great way to look at your major preparation and what kinds of classes you're going to take at Cerritos. And remember, you're taking your freshman and sophomore level classes here. So when you get to the university, you're going to be taking the higher levels of all of these types of classes, especially if it's going to be within your major. Okay. All right, so here we have a kind of a map of all the Cal States and UCs in the state of California. So you've got your 23 California state universities all the way down here at the bottom to San Diego State, to all the way up here at the very, very top was Humboldt State, and everything in the middle. We are located in this little tiny cropping of all these dots down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but we've got LA, Dominguez, Long Beach, Fullerton, and Pomona all surrounding us, not too far away. So you've got some great options of universities that are right here around us. On the UC side of things, we are right here between UCLA and UC Irvine. And we've got UC Riverside not too far away either. But again, if you're not stuck based on location, then look at all the other possible options you have, all the way up to Davis and all the way down to UC San Diego. So tons of options in between. Okay. Now, sometimes students have asked me the question, what's the difference between the Cal States and UCs? And there are definitely some differences between them. They both offer bachelor's and master's. They both offer some doctorate degrees, although the Cal States are a little bit more limited on which doctorate degrees they offer. And then the UCs do something a little bit extra, which is the professional schools. So if you want to go to medical school, dental school, law school, eventually you'd have to go to a UC school or a private institution in order to get to that level of education, because the Cal States don't have that. However, you can go to Cal State and prepare for a professional school. Okay, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. When it comes to the philosophy of the universities, the Cal States are a little bit more about theory and practice, more hands-on than you might find at the UCs, which are more about research and theory. Okay, so the Cal States say, you know, let's teach you how to do it. And the UCs are saying, well, we'll figure out why to do it. And if you know why, then you can figure out how to do it. Okay. But some examples of this might be Cal Poly Pomona has an amazing hospitality management program. And as part of that program, the hands-on portion is the students will actually run their 5-star restaurant that's on their campus. They also have their own hotel. And so the students will run the hotel as part of that hospitality management program for that hands-on experience. So that's just kind of an example of the practice base of the Cal State systems in particular. Now for the Cal States and UCs, Cal States offer part-time, full-time, daytime, nighttime, evening, online options. And right now everybody does online options, but in general, they offer that. The UCs are really designated or designed to have students go full-time and be in person during the day. So that's something to keep in mind when you're considering both options. Now you can be part-time at the community college and then transfer to UC and then become a full-time student at the UC. So whatever your status at Cerritos does not impact what your status can be at the universities or which schools you can consider going to. You have options when it comes to that part. We have a difference in tuition a little bit here. You can see the tuition for Cal States is about $7,000 and the UC's is about $13,000. But there are some extra stuff that they have available that allows things like for additional funding to help you cover the cost. Just like I was talking about with USC, UCs also have some additional funding that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Okay, so any questions about this stuff so far? Not seeing anything in the chat yet, but feel free to put stuff in the chat if you have questions. All right, so let's talk about transferring. When it comes to the Cal State universities and the universities of California for that matter, and the private schools, for the most part, it's no longer about what you did in high school. It's going to be about what you do at the college. Now, these are the minimum requirements to be considered for a Cal State university, and I'll do the same thing for the UCs. But the minimum does not mean you're overly competitive. It just means you can be considered. There are some non-impacted campuses that you can get into with the minimum requirements, but most of our institutions that are surrounding us are what we call impacted, meaning more people are applying than can get in. So we want to be more competitive and go above the minimum. Okay. So, but here's the minimum for Cal States. They're looking for 60 CSU transferable courses. Within that 60, they want 30 of them, about half, to be general education courses. For your transfer GPA, they're looking for a minimum transfer GPA of a 2.0. Okay. Now that 2.0 again is a minimum GPA. If you want to look at a school like Cal State Long Beach, the minimum GPA is more closely connected to about a 2.5 or higher, depending on what your major is. Okay, if you look at a school like Cal State Fullerton, the minimum GPA, because we're considered out of area for them, the minimum GPA for Fullerton is around a 3.2 to a 3.5. So again, what the minimum GPA is 2.0, but the actually competitive GPA or to get into those schools would be higher because they're impacted campuses. And then within that, again, 60 units, you have to complete an English composition, a transfer level math, a critical thinking, and a speech. Okay. And so when you come and see us, when you first get started at Cerritos, we almost always start you off with English and math. We want to do it while it's still fresh from your high school experience in order to help you move forward more quickly. But these are required classes, so we're not going to delay on these classes. We want English and math done from the very beginning to get that taken care of and meet these requirements first thing. Okay, so these are the minimum requirements for admissions. It's primarily about what's on paper. Okay, what does your transcript specify? So again, you know, no matter what was going on in high school, if you can come to Cerritos and really, you know, get focused and do well in your classes, that's what they're going to look at. They do not require SATs for transfer students. So just so you know, no SAT, no ACT for transfer students. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Okay. For the UC schools, the UC minimum requirements are 60 transferable units. In particular, they're looking for a minimum GPA of a 2.4. Again, we want to be higher than a 2.4, but that's the minimum to be considered. And rather than a golden 4, they have what's called a 7-course pattern. 2 English courses, 1 transfer level math, and 4 additional classes in arts and humanities, social behavioral sciences, or natural and physical sciences. So those are the classes that we're looking for. One of the things to keep in mind, though, of course, there are a couple schools that you might be able to get into with a 2.4. I would recommend at least a minimum of a 2.8 for schools such as Riverside or Merced. But if you want a school like UCLA or UC Berkeley, I would definitely recommend, if we can get you higher and closer to a 3.7, that's where we want to be. And again, this is not based on high school, fully based on what you're going to do at the college. Okay. But I want you to think about, I don't know if any of you know that in order to get in as a freshman to UCLA, the average GPA, and this was like 2 years ago that I got this information, but 2 years ago, the average GPA to get into UCLA as a freshman was a 4.4, which means you were honors classes with a 4.0 GPA and beyond. And so that's kind of ridiculous. So 3.7, doable. Okay, and we can get you into a school like UCLA and UC Berkeley. And we'll talk more about guarantees, which actually guarantee you into schools with less GPA. So keep those kinds of things in mind. Now, but with UCs, what's kind of cool is they're not just looking at what's on paper, not just looking at your grades and the classes you've taken, although those are very important. They are also going to take into consideration, are you part of any selective honors program or courses? And, you know, we're going to talk about the honors program in a little bit, but being part of the Scholars Honors Program is going to be considered when you're looking at admissions to the universities. They're also going to look and see if you've been part of any special projects or programs that are connected to your major. And then they're also going to look at extracurricular activities. So you might have been really involved in high school. Make sure you get really involved in college too. We have student government, we have all different clubs and organizations. And if we don't have something that you'd like to see, you can make your own club or organization at Cerritos College relatively easily. So that's something to consider. But they also look at community service and awards, and then of course, your academic accomplishments and your personal life experiences. So if you have had things that have gone on in your life, if you're the first in your family to go to college, then all of those things are going to add to your application and how they view you as a holistic person in the application process. So, that's one of the things I really like about the UC system, as well as the private schools, that they're looking beyond just what's on paper. They want to know, are you working full time while you're going to school and having to balance all that stuff? Do you have family responsibilities that are, that have maybe impacted a little bit with your classes? Those are the kinds of things that they're going to look at and take into consideration when it comes to your admissions to the UC or private schools for that matter. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Any questions on this? Feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to keep moving forward otherwise. I did want to bring up this blue and gold opportunity. I mentioned it just briefly at the beginning, but we know that the university is about $14,000 for the UC system. What they basically have is something called the blue and gold. If you apply for financial aid and your family makes less than, it says right here, $80,000 a year, then what they're going to do is they're going to help you cover the cost of that tuition. So rather than having to pay that $14,000, they're going to find a way through financial aid, but also additional university grants to help you cover the cost of that aid, of that tuition. Okay, so you technically can go to the UCs for free if your family makes less than $80,000 a year and you qualify for financial aid or the DREAM Act. Okay, now if your family makes more than $80,000 a year, but less than $150,000 a year, then you may qualify for what's called the middle class scholarship. And so the middle class scholarship is for students who come from a middle class family, but maybe don't quite have enough money. They're going to also help you cover the cost of your tuition or most of your tuition of that $14,000. So again, they have some amazing opportunities out there that you should keep in mind when considering schools. Don't limit yourself, again, based on where you think you can afford, because you don't know until you've applied. I can't say that as many, enough times. You're going to hear that over and over again from me, because I really, truly believe that. I don't want you to limit yourself based on that information or what you think that information is going to be. you got to apply and see what happens and go from there. Now, we do have private institutions as well. So this is kind of a map of our private schools in the state of California. We have about 70 plus private institutions. And some of them are very specific. You know, for example, here's California College of the Arts in San Francisco. That's specifically an arts campus. You have individual campuses that are a little bit, maybe like a small liberal arts religion-based campus like Biola. So you have Azusa Pacific. There's all sorts of different options for you within the private institutions as well. So that's just, again, one more possibility for you. So again, there's 70 plus. These are still schools that have 4-year degrees as well as professional schools. So they are similar to, you know, a combination of the Cal States and UCs. Okay, they've got the bachelor's, they've got the master's, doctorate degrees, and professional schools, depending on which school you're looking for. And these are just some examples of some of the schools. They have a variety of different majors that you can keep in mind and consider. And what's kind of cool about the UCs and private schools is you don't have to wait until you're a junior to transfer. You can actually transfer as a sophomore to quite a few of these schools, because most of them will require only 30 units instead of the 60 required for the UCs and Cal States. So if you wanted to just be at Cerritos for, let's say, a year to complete a full load of classes for 1 year and then transfer to university as a sophomore, you could do that. And they'll take that into consideration. One of the things to keep in mind, though, with the UCs and Cal States, no SAT, no ACT. With the private schools, it will vary. There are some private schools that will require that you have SAT or ACT scores, and some that will not. So it kind of depends. USC says, you know, if you have 30 units, we don't need SAT scores. But Stanford says, I don't care how many units you have, even if you're a transfer student, we're going to require that you have an SAT. So we will take a look at that as you kind of think about which schools that you want to consider. We'll help you figure out what classes you need and whether you need those ACTs or SATs or anything else. So this is just kind of a quick overview of some of the private and out-of-state options that we've got. Now, we do have something called a transfer admissions guarantee. Now, we have additional partnerships, just so you know, we do have additional partnership with Berkeley and a couple of other schools, but these are actual guarantees. They will guarantee your space at the university, okay? So for within the UC system, we have 6 UC campuses that will guarantee your space in advance to the university, and it's 1 year in advance. So with these schools here, you can see Davis, Irvine, Merced, Riverside, Santa Barbara, and Santa Cruz. For the purposes, you know, to kind of give you some ideas of GPA requirements, Davis, you can guarantee with a 3.3, Irvine and Santa Barbara, a 3.4, Merced and Riverside between a 2.8 and a 3.2 or 3.3, depending on what the major is, and Santa Cruz with the 3.0. So you can guarantee your space at these universities with those GPAs. We want to get your math and English done early, and we want to, you know, make sure we're working on your major preparation for the university. But with that said, you can guarantee 1 year in advance that you have been admitted to these institutions. Okay. And Clarence went ahead and put a link in for you, so you can kind of get a link to our website where we show you some of these guarantees. Now, in-state private schools, we have a couple. We have Loyola Marymount University, which is over by LAX. For that institution, you can guarantee with a 3.25. With the University of La Verne, you can guarantee with a 2.7, and with Whittier College, you can guarantee with a 2.8. And one thing I didn't, you know, I'd like to kind of bring up here is for the University of La Verne, again, these are private institutions. Yes, they cost a little bit more money, but I talked about the fact that they have things available for students that you just don't know if you can afford to go there or not. So University of La Verne has it set up where if you have a 3.22 GPA, you will get an automatic $19,000 scholarship towards your tuition at University of La Verne. So they're about $30,000 to go to. So you're getting like 2/3 of your tuition paid if you have a 3.22 GPA. And they maintain that scholarship as long as you maintain your GPA. Okay. They also have, let's say you have a slightly lower GPA than that, they have other, other merit scholarships based on where your GPA is. So I think the lowest one is if you have a 2.8 GPA, then you can get like $7,000 scholarship automatically as you go through. Okay. Okay, so the question came in basically asking about whether you sign a tag, whether you're committed to that school. The answer is no. It is just one of the options. You can still definitely apply to any other school. You are saving your spot at that university, but you choose, do you want to attend there or not? And if you decide not to attend there, that is totally fine. It does not do anything at all. So yeah, you can apply for a tag for, let's see, Santa Barbara, and then you can, because you only one within the UC system. Let's say Santa Barbara, and then do a tag for Loyola Marymount and a tag for Arizona State University. You can have 3 tags going on to 3 different colleges, and you could say, you know what, I'm going someplace else, and that is okay. So it's not committing you to that university. It is just giving you a really great option and guaranteeing you that spot there. Okay. And then we do have out-of-state schools. So down here at the bottom, Arizona State University, Northern Arizona, and HBCU is historically Black colleges and universities. You can guarantee your space into any of these universities. And actually for the HBCUs, it's 39 different universities with a 2.5 GPA. So we have guarantees with a 2.5 GPA. And then for Western Oregon University, we've had a couple students go there over the last couple of years. For them, the minimum GPA or guarantee GPA is a 2.25, and you can guarantee your spot at Western Oregon University. Okay, so again, these are awesome opportunities. Now we do have some other special partnerships. We have a special partnership through the honors program that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. We have a special program partnership through Berkeley, what we call TAP. Also actually, and so for that one, you just work with the representative for the university and you can do a partnership with them. But this is an actual guarantee. So there is a difference between what we usually call TAP, T-A-P, and TAG, T-A-G, okay? So one's a guarantee, one's usually a priority or a partnership program. All right, good question there. Okay, so here are some of the services that the Transfer Center has to offer for you guys. One of the things that I want you to keep in mind is that you do not have to wait until you're ready to transfer to use our Transfer Center services. You can come and use our services from your very first semester at Cerritos College. Once we get back to campus, we will be offering university tours. We usually go to about 14 or 15 schools each year. We'll provide a bus, we'll take you, you'll get a presentation, you'll get a walk around the campus, and then we'll come back. Hopefully we'll get those back up and running soon. Those are completely free to students. We even have a Northern California trip, which again will hopefully come back soon in the spring semester, where we take students for 3 days up to Northern California, and we pay for everything when it comes to that as well. So those are just a couple of things when it comes to the tours, and you don't have to wait until you're ready to transfer to come and visit, to go on a university tour. We have an annual transfer conference that happens in the fall semester. So you can definitely participate in that from the very first term. We have all different kinds of workshops that you can learn more. So I talked a little bit about TAG, but not a ton. So you can come to a workshop that's all about TAG, as just an example. We also have appointments. So if you already have in mind a specific major and you'd like to, plan it out and know exactly when you want to transfer, we're here and available to assist you with that. We have university fairs, and we started it as a pilot, but we're going to continue it on forward as part of our Transfer Academy. Now, all students that are part of our Scholars Honors Program are part of the Transfer Academy, but we are definitely open to students who are not part of the Honors Program who could also want to join the Transfer Academy. So we'll have more information coming for that as we get closer to the fall semester. But we have a ton of things available for you, and you do not have to wait until you're applying. We definitely have application workshops. So we will help you through that whole process of applying to the university. But before that, you can use us for all of these other possible resources and services. Okay, so just know that we are here from the very beginning. This is how you can get in contact with us. You can see here our website, cerritos.edu/transfer. We do have an Instagram account. It's at Cerritos Transfer Center. That's our handle for it. I do run the Transfer Center Instagram account, so I do try to post up there events that we have going on, but also if I see scholarships or research opportunities or internships or events that I think are important for our students, then I'll post them on the Instagram account. I'm also in charge, which means if you have a quick question for me, you can message me through the Instagram account. You do not have to be a student to already participate in this. So if you have an Instagram account, feel free to follow us and we'll get you some more information and go from there. If you have questions after today's session, like, you get off and suddenly you're like, oh, I totally forgot to ask this question, feel free to email me. You can email me at thetransfercenter@cerritos.edu. So that's kind of our contact information for the Transfer Center. Okay, so hopefully you have that. You can take a screenshot of that if you want to, so you don't forget. And then I'm going to be moving on to the honors information. Okay. All right, so, oh, good question. So the question came in about the guarantees and whether they're for specific majors. They do have specific majors connected to them. Some of them have limitations and some of them do not. For example, if you want to go Santa Barbara does not do it for a tag for engineering. But if you're an engineer, maybe you can go to Irvine because Irvine does. So the majors will vary by school as to whether they have a guarantee. So that is one of the things that you'll keep in mind when it comes to the guarantees. Okay. But yeah, you would guarantee your space at the university, as well as for most schools, you'll guarantee your major. Good question. Okay. So here is some information about the honors program. The website is right here, cerritos.edu/SHP. There are two ways of getting into the program. So you can get in directly out of high school, or you can come in as a college student. So if you have a 3.0 GPA in high school and a consistent academic record, and you've applied to the college, so you'll have your student ID number, then we recommend after you do your ID number, you'll do kind of a placement based on what's called the self-report tool, and you placed into English 100 or Math 80, then you can go ahead and apply directly into our own honors program at Cerritos College. And the application is on our website. Just follow the link, and on the left-hand side is the application itself. Okay, so that's if you have this information up front, then I recommend from the very beginning, get into the honors program. We'll talk about some of the benefits of it, but I really feel like, once you're in the program, you are going to be required to take 5 honors courses. And that's usually about 1 a semester, which is totally doable. But the later you wait to get into the program, the harder it is to complete those 5 honors courses before you transfer. So if we can get you into the honors program your very first semester, that's what we want to try to do. If not, let's say you don't meet those requirements out of high school, you can take a set of classes in college, have a 3.0 GPA with 12 units of general education coursework at Cerritos. And then based on that, we can go ahead and clear you and get you admitted to the honors program. So again, if you don't get in out of high school directly, you can wait maybe a semester or so and then apply into the program during your time at Cerritos. So you have definitely 2 options of working your way through and getting into the honors program. Now, once you're in the honors program, you are going to be required, again, like I said, to complete 5 honors courses. Most of those honors classes are going to be kind of built into your general education. So these are not classes, extra classes that you don't need. These are classes that are going to be needed for your general education anyway, so we're going to have you build them in. Now, if something's not available, you can also turn any normal class into an honors class through a contract. So you have options and varieties of ways to get your honors classes completed. Okay. One of the things to keep in mind, though, when applying to the program is that the honors program, specifically when it comes to like schools like UCLA, is primarily connected to the College of Letters and Science. Okay. So for the College of Letters and Science, if you happen to be an engineering major or a computer science major or something like that, then that is taken into consideration when it comes to SHP, and you could be denied. Okay. If you're denied, you can appeal that. You can go ahead and email back the director of the program and say, you know what, I know that my major isn't specifically going to get the best benefit out of this program, but I really want to be challenged by the honors program, and I would really love to be considered anyways. And so if you've been denied for whatever reason to the Scholars Honors Program, it does not hurt to reach out to the director and say, you know what, I don't even care if you put me on probation. I would just like to be part of the program. And as long as I do well, I'd like to stay in the program and continue to move forward. So if every once in a while that does happen, I shouldn't say every once in a while, it does happen. But if you make the extra effort to reach out to the director of the program, Mr. Huntia, he can give you a little bit more information about why you were denied. And then if you feel like, you know what, I want to do it anyways, you can work with him on it, and he can possibly provisionally accept you into the program based on, making sure you do well in your first semester here at Cerritos. So if for some reason that's the case, feel free to keep, reaching out. Okay. We do not have another honors program. We just have this one honors program available. So that's why I said, if you really want to be part of the program, feel free to reach out to Mr. Huntia to get more information if for whatever reason you are denied. We are going to have a transfer academy, which is going to be built kind of a combination of SHP and other students. You can of course join that as well. But if you specifically want the honors program, this is the way to do it. Okay. Now, once you're in the program, here are some of the benefits of the program. You do get priority registration for all your courses. So as long as you take an honors class each semester, then they will give you a priority registration for the next semester, which means you get first access, or one of the first to have access to the classes you need in order to get to complete your goal and transfer on to the university. So that is an awesome opportunity for all of our SHP students. In addition to that, our honors classes are capped at 30 students. We do have some classes that are a little bit larger. I think like our Sociology 101 is normally can be up to 60 students in that class. Usually it's smaller, but it can be up to 60. But our honors sociology class is actually capped at 30 units or 30 students, which means, you get more interaction with your faculty members, better discussions in class, and all that kind of good stuff. We do have special transfer agreements with UCLA and UC Irvine and some others. So that's something to keep in mind as part of our honors program and benefits. Now, those transfer agreements for UCLA are specific to the College of Letters and Science. So if you, like I said, are in engineering, computer science, it doesn't apply to you. And so that could impact whether or not you get accepted to the program. If it does, again, contact your Mr. Huntia, ask him. Doesn't hurt to ask why you weren't invited to the program, and see if you can say, what, I want to be in anyways. I want to be, can I be probationally accepted? We do have specific SHP counselors. I'm one of them. We do have a couple of other SHP counselors who we specialize in transfer. So we are here to assist you in making sure you're taking the right classes at the right time to get you out of here to the university. Once we're on campus, the SHP program does have its own little space where you can go to study. They've got computers, they've got, free Wi-Fi access, tables are set up. It's a quiet space so you can go in and just study and be, not in the library, but not at home either. So once we return to campus, that space will be open and available to students again. And then one really cool option for you is a undergraduate research. So if you do your own research, there's a possibility that you can present your research at state and national conferences. So that's also another great opportunity that's part of the Scholars Honors Program. Okay. So with that, I'm going to have Clarence put up some polls and ask you some questions, but I did see another question in the chat, and I do want to go to the website as well, but I just want to give you a minute. The question came in about study abroad programs. We actually do offer study abroad programs, or we have for the last couple of years. Obviously it got held up when it came to COVID, but we hopefully will bring it back. We had students who study abroad each summer. We have it as available. You can actually go to cerritos.edu/study abroad, and I'll give you some information. I think our next one that was supposed to be set up was studying abroad in Japan. We only go to one location each year, but it does rotate. We went to England the year before that. And so they go for, I think it's 6 weeks, or no, 4 weeks, 4 weeks in the summer. So you take a normal 6 weeks class, you take 2 weeks on campus, and then you take 4 weeks in another country. So that's our study abroad program that we offer. And normally it is in the summertime. Clarence put that link in there for you so you have it, and we'll go from there. But let me stop this thing here. Let me share you guys let me end this thing. So, some of our important website information. Okay. So let me
and I will launch the polls.
Thank you so much. Yeah, please.
Just to gauge your understanding.
Yeah. So you guys can look at the polls just to give us some feedback on how we're doing. Okay. So on here, this is our Transfer Center website. You do see links here that have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you want to join us that way. You can also find quick links to making a virtual appointment, our workshops, our drop-in sessions, and our application workshops. If you want more information about the guarantee, you can find that right down here, transfer admissions guarantee. If you'd like information about our transfer degrees, here are all the transfer degrees that we offer. Okay, so that's listed there. So definitely great things that are going on there. The other thing is on our website, if any of you happen to have AP exams, you can actually go over here to where it says transfer and then click on where it says general education. And I'll put this in the chat as well. Okay. Oops, let me get that in there. Okay. So with this one allows you to actually click on and say, okay, well, here are the advanced placements and how they fit for the Cal States. And here are the advanced placements and how they fit for the UCs. Okay. So those are options for you when it comes to that, and taking a look at, if you have an advanced placement, how it fits into the system. Okay, in addition to all this good stuff here, we also have, here's the Scholars Honors page. It has a cool little video that talks a little bit about what the benefits are of the program. But over here on the left-hand side is where you find the application, information about our research conferences that you can participate in, and of course the SHP counselors that are listed there. Okay. And I did want to just briefly, really briefly, show you guys Assist, that Assist website that I was talking about earlier. Okay. So if we go to the Assist website, and I'll just put it on here one more time because it's at the top. Okay. If you go here, you can select Cerritos. You can select your university. I can hit View Agreement. I can look up a major and hit View Agreement, and it will show me important information at the top. But as I scroll down, it will also show me the classes at Cerritos and how they are over here, how they transfer over to Cal State. So the community college is always on the right, and on the left is always the university. Okay, and I can go back here and say, oh, you know what, I want to also look at UCLA. And I'll do the same major, biology. And here's the requirements for UCLA. And you can kind of compare and contrast. So here's some biology classes, some math classes, some chemistry classes, and I can say, oh, and let's look at it for Long Beach. So you can kind of get an idea of how each one looks at things. Okay. So again, by taking biology 200 and 201 at Cerritos, you're taking care of biology 211, 212, and 213 over at UCLA. Oh wait, I'm sorry, this one's Long Beach. I was looking at Long Beach on this one. Yeah, Long Beach. Okay, so these two classes here will take care of these three classes over at Cal State Long Beach. Okay, so it gives you some ideas. Now, you may or may not understand all of it, and that's totally okay. You know, take a look at it, see what you think, and then come and see a counselor and we can help you figure it all out beyond that. You know, this doesn't show you the prerequisites, what classes have to come before this. It just gives you a list of the classes that they want. So just wanted to kind of briefly show you that so you can see how that works out and, you know, play with it on your own time too. All right, so I guess that's that. What I wanted to do is we just have a couple minutes left here. Is there any, you know, questions that you all have before we finish up today's session? I'm going to put in the chat again the email address, just in case you forget. And Clarence is still doing the polls there for questions 3. And I think there's 5 questions total, isn't there?
Yeah.
So there's only 2 more polls left. So you can tell us how we're doing.
Yeah.
But are any questions before we finish up for today? Anybody? And again, you can put it in the chat if you're not comfortable saying them out loud.
Okay, seems like we're doing pretty well.
All right. All right. So with that, why don't we just do the last 2 ones, and then we will, then we're going to be good for the day.
Yep.
So last questions?
Yep.
Otherwise, I have to run out of here because I'm going to another meeting. But again, reach out if you have any questions. Check out our Instagram account. And I guess we'll go from there.
Righty.
All right. So I think we're okay. No questions? Awesome. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate your feedback.
Okie dokie.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I think there's one last poll, if you question maybe. And then we'll go from there. Thank you so much for hanging in with us and doing our poll. And I guess that is it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, a great rest of your weekend, and reach out to us. Know that we are here for you if you need us. Thank you so much.
Alrighty.
Bye,
Thank you.
all.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Cool.